I gotta say it. Someone's gotta say it. Seems like Warcraft 3 Reforged isn't everything that people expected. Seems like it's almost a little bit of a disappointment. And also seems like if this is the first time you've heard that, you probably don't have the internet. Because the fact is, everybody's been talking about this. For the past week since Warcraft 3 Reforged came out, everybody has been talking about how shit the game is. And I actually, like, the fact is, like, players lose, Blizzard loses, everybody loses, but you know who doesn't? Is the people who have made 40 videos about it. Now, I'm 41, but I actually really, whenever this happened, and I saw how pissed off everybody was, I really was upset that I wasn't streaming, because I could have I could have milked this for like 3 days of content, Warcraft 3 refunded, made like 50 different memes, it would have been great, right? And I wouldn't have to do a goddamn thing. So the one winner out of all of this is all of the people that report about how mad people on the internet are about things that they're mad about. So today I want to talk a little bit about Reforged and give, I guess, like my 2 cents on it, and then talk a little bit more about, I guess, the ecosystem on the internet here of getting mad. Because that's really what it is. I mean, if you think about it, you go on Twitter, people are fucking mad. You go on YouTube, they're fucking mad. You go on Twitch, you already know. And so I want to talk a little bit about that because I do really believe it's truly an ecosystem now. Anyway, so Warcraft 3 Reforged comes out. Everything that Blizzard planned and everything that Blizzard promised didn't fucking happen. Would have never expected that. You've got all these people nowadays that, they haven't been buying Blizzard products for the past 10 years, or especially 5 years, and so they're not really used to, what us WoW players are used to. Like, if you told anybody that bought BFA that, Warcraft 3 Reforged was going to be incomplete, fucked up, and a disappointment, they wouldn't have been surprised at all. They could have told you that, and they didn't even play the game. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Blizzard has, they've had so many fuck-ups, man. And I thought about this. I was walking down to the store. I bought the drink at the store. I was walking down there. I was thinking, like, when was the point that it changed? When was the point where, Blizzard went from Blizzard quality to Blizzard quality, And I think that it was Diablo 3. That fateful day, what was it, May 7th, 2012? I don't remember. Hopefully I've forgotten. But that fateful day was, it was not good. Error 47 was the highest trending tag on Twitter, hashtag on Twitter, and it was in general a disappointment for most people. So here we are, what is this, almost 10 years later, and, 3 WoW expansions later. Overwatch, might be boring to watch. People might be overwatching it, but it's, I guess, kind of okay to play, and the game doesn't seem to be completely broken in the same way the other games aren't. The fact is that Blizzard, they hired out another team to do the game. If I look at the models, if I look at the cutscenes, etc., in Warcraft 3 Reforged, they don't look like and feel like Blizzard cutscenes or models, and I don't really know where I would start or what I would be able to pull apart and really look and say, like, okay, this is exactly what's wrong with it, and this is exactly what I don't like. But if I was really going to say any one thing that I could try to verbalize as a problem, is the fact that Arthas, the fallen crown prince of Lordaeron, looks like a 55-year-old drunk. I mean, really, it seems like they're gonna kick him out of the fucking pub over in England because he's been there for 3 days. Really, I mean, he looks like shit. His mouth is too big, his nose is too big, it's weird. So I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think that looks good. And there's a few other things that I feel like Illidan's got that weird face shit going on. I'm not a big fan of that either. And I think really Blizzard came at this with the wrong direction. I think that if Blizzard had really tried to make Warcraft 3 Warcraft 3 Reforged, rather than Warcraft 3 Remastered, I think everything would have gone better. If they had slightly changed up the cinematics, if they had slightly changed up the campaigns, etc., I think that everybody would have been a lot happier. At least probably they would have been happier, because at least they don't have the knowledge of knowing that there's a 17-year-old game that worked that you just lost because you can't play that one anymore. anymore, and instead it's replaced with something that doesn't work. So obviously, I think people would be a little bit more accommodating if it was something that was actually new. The best example of this I could use is the Arthas versus Illidan cutscene. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched this. If you haven't, keep it that way. Just keep the memory in your mind and never look at the new thing, you know? It's like if you have a very, very good memory or something like that and you want to keep it and preserve it and kind of crystallize that and not taint it with the outside influences of the new world, or in this example, the Reforged world. So Arthas versus Illidan was a complete fucking joke. It sucked. It was terrible. And why was it terrible? It was terrible for one reason. It was terrible because Blizzard tried to make it like scene for scene, word for word, basically exactly like the old cinematic. That was a huge mistake. It wasn't about Arthas versus Illidan being the exact cinematic that it was back in 2000 and whatever the fuck, whenever the game came out. It was about seeing Arthas, the dude about to be the fucking Lich King, against Illidan, the dude that I think ate the skull of Gul'dan. He's like this massive, powerful demon hunter, defied Sargeras. I mean, two big dicks of the universe come head to head. And man, people want to see a fight. Not some, this is what the fight was. You guys haven't seen it? Give me a minute. I'll show you guys. So, the killing blow was like this. Watch. It's like, imagine the sound. And then the next fucking thing you know, Illidan's laying on the ground dead. 2020. 2019, man. Like, you guys could fucking render a whole cinematic for Sylvanas to come up with some bullshit plot armor. Sylvanas is so far ahead of her plans in BFA that she's confused even the people that are writing the story. And you can't manage to fucking make a new cinematic for one of the most iconic moments in the entire game's history. What the fuck? I think that it would have been 1,000 times better if they had just taken and looked at it and been like, you know what? We're going to make a badass Arthas versus Illidan cinematic. Everybody's going to love it, and it's going to look really fucking cool. But instead of that, I got to turn this back on. I don't know why. I'm getting OCD about it. Instead of that, they had to go and do the exact same fucking thing they did before. And guess what? It sucked. And do you know why it sucked? The reason why it sucked is the same reason why every single Superman movie sucks. It's because the subject matter is bad. The original cinematic was trash. If you go back and you watch it, it's such a cock tease. It's like, imagine spending like, it's like, you know, a brand new awesome movie that's like super hyped up comes out. You go to see the movie and it's a fucking disaster. Been looking forward to it forever. It's a new Dragon Ball Z live action movie or something like that. It's a massive fucking disaster. Meanwhile, obviously, people were going to be disappointed about not being able to see that. And, like, it's beyond just the cinematic, okay? I don't want to dwell on the cinematic too much, but I think that it's probably the most iconic example. Now, there's a few other things that obviously people have not really been happy about with Warcraft 3 Reforged, but I think that probably the main thing is the fact that you can't play the original Warcraft 3 anymore. And so what I mean by that is that it's just fucking replaced. You don't get to play Warcraft 3 anymore. It's not like, oh, well, you can go play Reforged or you can play the original game. No, you only play Reforged. That's it. So I think that, like, it's ironic that Blizzard kind of made this mistake with the game, because classic WoW fixes that mistake for Blizzard with Warcraft. So or World of Warcraft in this example, because there is a differentiation here. With World of Warcraft, people resented Battle for Azeroth. They resented Legion or WoD. Those are like the main expansions whenever the idea of Legacy or Classic servers came out. They resented the expansions in the current game more because they're getting the current game at the expense of getting the old, or sorry, they're losing the old game at the expense of getting the new game. They don't like the new game all that much, but on top of not liking the new game all that much, they lose the old fucking game. And so this is exactly what they did, and they remedied this with Classic. So you're actually seeing people now that are like, you know what? BFA is not that bad. I do a Mythic Plus every week. Okay, it's fine. and they accept it, because if they don't fucking like it, they can go back and play Classic. But if you're a Warcraft 3 fan, tough shit. So, I'm not a big fan of this whole Warcraft 3 situation. I pre-ordered the game. And thank God I said that, because I was thinking in my head before I did the video, what am I going to talk about? And this is one of the things I was going to talk about, but I actually forgot about talking about it until I said that. Why is this possible? Why is it possible for a company that's been, for years now, synonymous with PR blunders, with incomplete games? Like, if you buy, and this is not just, let's be real, okay? Blizzard does not have a monopoly on releasing unfinished products. I think almost everybody does it now. I think that Cats movie did it, right? Is that there's something that was fucked up with it and they patched the movie? It's a first, probably not a last either. But anyway, I just am disappointed to see this happen. And why is it? I think a big reason is pre-orders. If you know they're gonna pay the fucking money, there's a certain incentive that you have to make a good game that goes out the window. Why the fuck are you gonna make a good game if you know they're gonna buy it anyway? I mean, the WoW devs learned that 5 years ago. Apparently, they just passed on the knowledge to the Classic team. So it's disappointing to see this happen. And pre-orders allow it to happen. Because if the game came out and there were no pre-orders, and people, they saw the reviews and the reviews were dog shit, because they are, maybe people are overreacting a little bit with the reviews. I think that people are making Warcraft 3 Reforged. They're acting like J. Allen Brack fucked their mom. And it's bad, but I feel like people are not really mad about Warcraft 3 Reforged as much as they're mad that it happened again. One more time. And I fucking deal with the Classic servers being messed up, the queues forever, and then there's all the problems with Classic that people have. And then, if you don't like Classic, go play Beta for Azeroth, or Artifact Power for Azeroth, or Azerite Power, excuse me. And maybe if you don't like that, go play Diablo 3. And it's just one game after another. And it's then the Hong Kong thing, it's just like, this is just, it's another one, you know what I mean? It's like if you ever been around somebody that pisses you the fuck off, and it's like they spill a drink on the floor. It's not a big deal, but that's like on top of like, closing your leg in a car door, forgetting to bring you back your food from the store, and losing your keys, and then forgetting to feed the dog, and leaving the door open, the dog runs away, and then finally this dumb motherfucker spills his drink on the floor, and that's the last straw. And I think that's basically what's happened with Warcraft 3. It's the last straw for a lot of people. And they say that until a new Blizzard game comes out. They're going to buy it and then get pissed off about that one too. And then I'll have more content for my channel. But until then, we have to talk about this one. So the problem that I really see here and everything is the fact that there are pre-orders that guarantee sales. And because the sales are guaranteed, developers and publishers don't have to worry as much about making sure that the game gets good reviews or making sure that the game is finished on release, because for one, they can always patch it later, and two, they already got your fucking money. So I think that the pre-orders are the problem. Now, I think that we've, as I said, if I didn't cover every point, okay, I just want to let you guys know, if I didn't cover every point about Warcraft 3 Reforged and you feel like you need even more people to tell you how it's bad, just search Warcraft 3 Reforged on Google. I'll see you in a few days whenever you're done with all the videos. Anyway, next thing I want to talk about is the ecosystem of being mad on the internet. Now, everybody contributes to this. I just did. And I don't know, like, it's one of the things where it's like, is this the content creator's fault? Is this the user's fault? Is this people that are filling a demand? Or is it content creators leading the people to constantly complain about everything, it's a symbiotic relationship. I think it's basically, like one is influencing the other, and, they're feeding into each other. It's a vicious circle of getting mad on the internet. And it's crazy because everybody gets paid. That's the funny thing about it, is that, you have Blizzard gets the money for making the shitty game. And then the consumers, well, some of them get their money back. Not with Warcraft 3 Reforged, because it's impossible to do, apparently. And if you tell anybody else how to do it, you get fucking banned. Which, by the way, was an allegation that was unproven that people are now passing off as a fact, because enough people have talked about it that this rumor is now just something that's assumed to be true. Which is, hey, 2020, it's great. So anyway, then you have the people like me, right, or the people on YouTube who are, producing the original content. And then you have leeches on Twitch who watch the original content. And then, of course, the YouTube people get the ad revenue. And then you have the leeches on Twitch. I don't know who that is. And then they watch the videos of the people complaining about the bad game. And then the people donate saying, hey, man, that game does suck. Here's $5. Still have not understood that. Okay, I've streamed for 2 or 3 years or something. My dad, first time I ever told him I made money on Twitch, he asked me, he's like, what were you selling? I said, nothing. And he said, then why were they giving you money? And I honestly couldn't come to an answer for that. 3 years later, 4 years later, or 2 years later, however long ago that conversation was, I still don't have an answer. But the point is that I think that, like, really, I learned this in, like, marketing class or something, right? One of the few things that I think is actually vaguely useful that you learn from business school, other than invented terminology to sell you a 4-year program. I know, I was there. Is it people that give negative feedback are 9 times more likely, I think this is the number, right? It doesn't really matter. They're much more likely to give negative feedback than positive feedback. So if you have 10 people that, I don't know, like, really how you would make the analogy, but or how you'd make the comparison, but basically people that have a negative experience are 9 times more likely to talk about their negative experience than people that have a positive experience, because people that have a positive experience just sit there quietly and play the game, smiling and So what do I think is going to happen? I think this is not necessarily good for the internet. I don't know really what to do about it. To be fair, if the game was good, people wouldn't have anything to complain about. So I do want to say that. And on top of that, I think that really it's just a matter of effort. I mean, like, this video wasn't really all that hard to make. It was just, I sit here 18 minutes or so, talk about how much a game sucks, and making like a high quality video, etc. Doesn't necessarily reward you in terms of hours invested or minutes invested in this example. So I think that's basically why you see so many videos and so much content like this, and because it's the same as you turn on the news, right? It's like there's a plane crash, you hear about it for a week, but if somebody discovers a cure for cancer, somehow you never hear about it at all. Or there's a cure for a disease that happens, and it's like, oh wow, it's like the little ticker, and it's like, oh wow, some fucking scientist discovered this, nobody gives a shit, right? But if it's something upsetting, the news stations play it up, because that gets everybody in a frenzy, and they're thinking, oh my god, is there going to be another plane that crashes today? I better turn on CNN. And I think that's basically what happens with video game stuff too. So I don't really know what the answer or the solution to this is, but I know one solution, which would be for Blizzard to not release a shitty version of a game that many of us wasted our childhoods playing. And hopefully in patches and everything, that will improve and the game will get better, but it doesn't matter. That's what we learned with BFA. Is that BFA, they fixed a lot of the stuff in BFA and people still call it beta for Azeroth. First impressions matter a lot. And Blizzard fucked theirs up with their new game, their new old game. So we'll see where this goes, but I'm not necessarily optimistic. And until next time that Blizzard releases a new game and there's something to inevitably complain about, I think this will be pretty much it for the video. I don't know exactly why the complaining and getting mad videos are so popular now. I like Warcraft 3 Reforged thing is really, because I looked up a couple of videos like a few days ago whenever I originally heard about this, and like, man, like these videos are getting like fucking 300, 400,000 views. Holy shit. Meanwhile, somebody probably does a guide on how to play the game, it's gonna get 2,000. So yeah, of course people are gonna make the complaining videos. What are you gonna do about it? I don't know. But anyway, I figured I'd make a video. As one of the premier Blizzard complainers, I thought that it was my duty and obligation to do so. And so here you go. Let me know what you think. And that's pretty much all I've got. So I do really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. And until next time, peace.